Okay, so we had a woman in our community recently ask a question. And so Lucy asks, she says, I have no problem walking away, but it seems like all I am doing anymore. I am just not seeing the quality men anywhere. Where are they? I found men into online dating to be like kids in candy stores. If you don't sleep with them, they are on to the next flavor. No, thank you. For this, I'm going to pay for a dating service? No. And so kind of the question here is, why are men so into hooking up? Where are the good men that I'm looking for? And so today what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer her question and talk about why the surprising reasons why a lot of guys just want a hookup and what you should do if you want them to want something more with you instead. And by the way, if you're really serious about getting into a relationship where you feel seen and appreciated and loved for who you are, make sure that you go to thegoddesscommunity.com and consider joining our community there for free. So, my name's Matthew Coast, by the way, too. Somebody complained that I didn't say that the other day. And welcome to the Commitment Connection. So what, why do men say this? Why do you hear this all the time? Why are people talking about this? So there are good men everywhere. And there are men who are jaded everywhere. And I'm kind of hesitant to not call them necessarily good men because there's a lot of good men that are jaded. And we live in a society right now where we have this thing called the hookup culture. And you have to realize that it's on both sides. It's not just on men looking to hook up. In fact, if you're in our community, you've probably seen recently a lot of women talking about how they're in these casual friend with benefits situations. And there was even a woman that asked how to get into one. If you can believe that. Yeah, it was great. And so you have to realize that a lot of people are settling for these superficial relationships instead of getting into something that's deeper and more meaningful. And there's actually a study that was done not too long ago, and I'm not sure who all these dating nerds are that are doing all these studies, but there was a study that was done where they surveyed men, and they found that around 86% of men out there actually want something real. They want a relationship. Specifically, what it said was they want a relationship that could lead to marriage and having kids. However, what they also said is that most of those men don't believe that they're actually going to find it. And so one of the things that you have to realize is that if a guy's attracted to you, if he's physically attracted to you, and he doesn't think that you're emotionally the one that he's looking for, then he'll settle with a casual friend with benefits situationship if you are willing to settle for a casual friend with benefits situationship. And so also, if you're here right now with us in the chat, before I get into the three things, the three reasons, and what to do about it, make sure you say hi and let us know where in the world you're watching this from, because it's really cool to see all these people from all over the world watching these live streams. It's really awesome. It's a lot of fun. So, what are the reasons why this happens, and what can you do about it? So, the first reason that this happens is because a lot of guys think that you're going to put them into the friend zone. And so the situation that this woman was talking about was going on dates, and then this guy, she doesn't hook up with a guy, and the guy goes on to the next flavor for like the candy shop next flavor, right? And so here's the thing, right? One of the biggest fears that men have, one of their biggest frustrations, one of their biggest annoyances, one of their biggest fears is that they end up in the friend zone a lot with women. And if he doesn't play his cards right, he'll end up in the friend zone almost all the time. And so he needs to make sure that he is creating a situation that leads to physical intimacy, or there's a really high probability chance that it's never going to lead to physical intimacy, that you're going to friend zone him, and that he's going to be like, oh, well, now we're just friends, and this is never going to get into the place that I want it to get to. And so most men know this, and so they will try to push things towards a romantic, physically intimate relationship as soon as possible, because the sooner it gets there, the higher the probability that it will ever get there for him. And the slower that he does it, the less likely it will ever end up in a romantic situation for him. And so what happens a lot of times is that women will end up just saying no to the guy, right? And denying his advances and pushing him away and being like, no, let's not do that. Or they'll say, hey, let's just be friends first. Can't we just be friends first? Right? Which is code word to a guy of saying, you're never getting anywhere with me. You're going to be one of my orbiters forever, and it's going to be really painful for you because you're going to really like me, and you're not going to get anywhere, and so you're stuck in the friend zone. Good luck with that, buddy. And the problem with that, if you actually are interested in having a romantic relationship, is that he feels that he's going to get stuck there. And so a lot of time, most men that are looking for something romantic will end up getting out of that completely, leaving and not pursuing any kind of a relationship with you at all, because he doesn't want to get stuck in that position, wasting time, money, resources. Because a lot of women out there, you have to realize, a lot of women will just go on dates because they're bored, right? Some guy comes and talks to them. She's not really that interested in him, but she's like, well, I've got nothing else going on. He's going to pay for dinner and pay for drinks and take me out, and it'll be far more interesting than sitting at home and watching How I Met Your Mother reruns. And so I'll go out with him, not because I'm interested in anything real with him, but because I'm bored out of my mind. And so a lot of women will go and do this, right? And guys know that women do this. And so he needs to make sure that it's leading towards something that he wants, or he will use and waste a huge portion of his time, money, and resources and energy chasing after something that's going nowhere. And so if you want something different with him, then what you have to do is you have to dangle the carrot. You have to make sure that he knows that this is moving towards something real. And so what you have to do is, when you set your boundary, when you stop him and you're like, hey, no, instead of it being like I have this distinction between like a hard rejection and a soft rejection. A hard rejection is when you're like, no, I'm not interested. This is not going anywhere. Stop. Get away from me. I'm done. Right? And a soft rejection is like, not right now. Like maybe later. Maybe I'll be interested later. Maybe some other time. Maybe another date. Maybe another time. Right? And so what you want to do is you want to have soft rejections if you're dating a guy and you want him to continue to pursue you, but you're not ready for what he wants right now because you're still figuring out what he wants. You're still figuring out whether you like him. You're still figuring out whether he's got red flags and whether he's toxic or what's going on with him. And so you're not ready quite yet to allow him into receive him in this kind of way yet. And so what you want to do is just let him know that you're still interested in being, and what you want to say is, yes, like I'd love to do that with you. I'm just not ready to do that yet. And when you do that, what you're basically saying is that you still got a chance, right? There's still a chance. There's still a chance. Still a chance for you. And so that's number one. He thinks that you're trying to friend zone him. and he will run, 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 run. Number 2 is you're meeting and letting the wrong types of men into your life and into your world. And so you need to find out what a man is looking for before you end up hooking up with him, right? There's some woman in the community the other day who was asking about this, where she was like, oh, there's this guy, and he said that he didn't want something exclusive, and I said that I did, and we'd been kind of hooking up with each other already, and now I'm kind of pushing him away, but now he's coming back and telling me that he misses me. Should I ever bring it up again? And it's like, you wouldn't even be asking that if you hadn't hooked up with him already, right? Because you're emotionally involved, you're physically involved, you're involved from a time standpoint, an energy standpoint, and so you want to get to the bottom of what's going on sooner rather than later. I mean, you don't want to come off as like, some women, they go on dates and they're just screening, right? And that doesn't work very well either if you go on a date and it's like, interview questions the entire time, because you're just trying to find out as quickly as humanly possible whether this guy is the type of guy that you want or not, because what ends up happening is he's not invested in you at all. He's not really that interested. He's not connecting with you on any other level other than she's attractive and she's kind of boring, because all she wants to talk about are these interview questions to kind of screen me out. And guys know that you're doing that. They know that you're kind of trying to screen them out. And those dates are the worst because they're so boring, and they're just like, it's kind of painful. It's like painful dating. If you want to go on painful dates, just do that. Obviously, you want to figure out what he's looking for quickly, but you want to do it in a fun way, in a playful way. You want to get to know each other. You don't want to bring it out in the very first thing and it's all you talk about and you're just screening each other. You want to have fun and enjoy your time together and enjoy your date and talk about things and have a good time while you figure all this stuff out. And so you want to do what I talk about in some of the other live streams that I've done, where we talk about being playful and having fun and using verbal banter and all that kind of stuff, because that's what makes dating a lot of fun. And another thing to consider with this one is your patterns, right? A lot of women have kind of these patterns where they're really, really attracted to guys that just want to hook up. And so if you're just like that, if you're just super attracted to dudes that just want to hook up, what you might want to consider is that whenever you're super attracted to a guy, that might be a big red flag, right? It's a big red flag for yourself to look at it and say, okay, I have this pattern where I only am really attracted to guys who aren't good for me, right? So maybe what you need to do is you need to break that pattern and you need to start trying different things. So if you're going on certain dating websites and you are getting the same thing over and over and over again, you should try different dating websites, or you should try going out and meeting guys in the real world, which I am a huge fan of. I think that's the best place to go and do this. And just try going out with guys you wouldn't normally go out with. Obviously you need to be attracted to them, obviously, all those things. However, just try doing different things. Just break the monotony up. Try different things that you wouldn't normally do so that you get different results. Because if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, and you're like, well, why, every guy is just a player or whatever, all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, maybe you should try something different if you want to do something different. Because like I said earlier, most men are looking for something real. They just don't believe that they're going to find it. So do something different. Try new areas to go and date. Break your normal patterns. Try doing something different. If you get what I'm talking about here, make sure that you say, I get it, in the chat. Make sure you say, I get it. I get it. I get what you're talking about. So number 3. Number 3 is the one that most women don't want to look at, but it's also a very, very important one, which is that you're giving off an impression that this is what you're looking for. And, I want to say this at first because this is the big complaint that I get all the time, and it's that men are responsible for their behavior. Men are always responsible for their behavior, and so are you. And it's one of those things where if you show up to a job interview and you're like, you need to just accept that I'm a serious candidate even though I'm showing up in a clown outfit, right? It's like, okay, well, how am I supposed to take you seriously when you're wearing a clown outfit? And there's actually a Dave Chappelle skit about this where he was talking about wearing like a police officer's uniform, and somebody comes up to him and they're like, hey, can you help us? Like, you're a cop, right? You need to come and help us. And he's like, whoa, just because I'm wearing a police officer's uniform doesn't mean that I'm a police officer, right? And the point of the skit was that it was like a joke. Like, if you want to give off a certain impression, you need to make sure that you're dressing the part of a person that wants to give off that impression, right? If you want to be taken seriously by men as something more than just superficial, then play the part of somebody who actually considers something else going on with them. And so the point is if you want men to take you seriously, don't show pictures of your butt and half-naked photos in your app or online dating profiles. It just gives men the wrong impression. Second, set boundaries in your communication with men so that men know where your boundaries are, and then stick to those boundaries, right? The whole thing about exclusivity before intimacy, and making sure that you're setting boundaries in the right way, right? Communicating it in an effective way. I have a program called How to Talk to Men, or How to Talk to a Guy. I think that's somebody else's program, How to Talk to Men. Mine is How to Talk to a Guy, and I've got a program about that. If you're really interested in learning more about setting boundaries and some of those kinds of conversations that you want to have with guys. Third, show aspects of your personality. If you don't go deep and wide with your connection with men, and you're just kind of like this one-dimensional person, right? Don't be surprised when a guy is only interested in hooking up with you, because it's like, well, I can't really find any other dimensions to her personality. So what else is there for me to fall in love with? What else is there to connect to? What else is there to really be with here other than just the simple things? And and I know that there's a lot of like complaints around that, but it's like, if you're meeting guys, and there's a lot of women out there that are like, oh yeah, I met this guy and he's just so boring, right? And there's nothing going on with him. And it's the same thing, right? If you go and meet a guy, like he feels the same way, right? He's like, yeah, I don't know, she's really hot. That's what he ends up telling his friends when he goes home. She's really hot, because that's all that's going on here, right? And so you want to have more there. You want to have more going on there. All right, so that is it with those. There's 3 of them. Number 1 is he thinks that you're just trying to friend zone him. Number 2 is you're meeting and letting in the wrong types of men. Number 3 is you're giving off an impression that this is what you're looking for. This is live stream number 3, day 3. How many days can I do live streams in a row? I don't know. Let's find out. I'm in Romania. Okay, so if you've got questions about anything, put them in the chat, and make sure if you're serious about getting into a relationship where you're really seen and valued and loved for who you are, make sure you go check out thegoddesscommunity.com and check out all the cool free stuff that you get there. And you'll also get a free copy of the Forever Woman program that I just created, where you can actually go to the foreverwomanformula.com. There should be a link somewhere to just go straight there if you're interested in that as well. But you get it as joining our community right now. So if you're interested, go and check that out. It's all about how to make sure that you're empowered and you're getting into a great relationship where you're being valued. And so it's and looked at as somebody that a guy wants to be with forever. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Julie Tree, she's always here. You're always here, Julie Tree. I really appreciate you being here with us. There's a mosquito flying around me. That's Romania. I'm in Romania. Nuns Island, I don't know where that is. Candy says, wishing I could adopt you. I don't know what that means. You want to adopt me? Grace says, so what if you are out of child producing times? What if you are? There's actually, I'm kind of nerdy in knowing about, I'm not so nerdy that I'm doing all of these studies, but I'm nerdy enough to know about all these studies. They've actually found that around 34% of women, in America anyway, are dating men who are actually younger than them. 34% of women over the age of 40 are dating men who are younger than them right now. That's a pretty huge percentage of women that are dating men that are younger than them. It's pretty cool. It's kind of awesome, actually. Denmark, London, Virginia Beach, Alberta, Qatar. I mean, it's just so amazing. There's so many places. It's so cool. Singapore. Dee Dee says, I like when you give the male perspective, like, about men avoiding the friend zone. It's vital. It is absolutely vital that you know about that, right? Because women don't, they're like, oh yeah, let's just be friends, and the guys are like, they're like, oh my God, run, right? And that's what happens when he thinks that you're going to friend zone him. Nigeria, New York, not all women are the same. Yeah, that's true. Not all women are the same. Not all men are the same. I want something real with someone. Good. I'm glad, Valerie. You should want something real. You deserve that. Valerie says, men confuse me. It seems like majority just want sex, but I want something real. I just talked about that. Yay says, sorry, I have a question about jealousy in a couple. Okay. Well, I get so jealous when a Facebook friend of my man likes or adores a certain post of him. Is this normal? What it means is that you're really attracted to him, right? Like jealousy, having feelings of jealousy is pretty normal. It's a normal human emotion that people have. And so I wouldn't get all like bent out of shape about the fact that you have jealousy. I mean, it's one of those things where it is kind of like a little bit of an indication that there's a few things going on. One is that you're really attracted to somebody, and two, it's like, depending on how kind of jealous you are about the situation, it might kind of have an indication about your own feelings of security and self-worth and those kinds of things. So, but that's something that you can work on through kind of healing work and personal development and getting through some pains and stuff from the past, healing through stuff. Fiona says, yay, that means it's triggering something in you. You must have fears around abandonment. It could be fears of abandonment. It could be about fears of feeling that you're not good enough. It depends on how strong the jealousy is, right? Like it's not jealousy is a natural emotion that we all have, right? And so it just depends on how strong your jealousy is and what kind of issues you have, which we all have. We all have issues. If you pretend like you don't, you probably have the bigger issues. So, Lise says, why do we get jealous? Because it's, it's probably from our old biology of like back in the day of like being like, oh, like somebody's gonna be, if we were back in the old days of being in tribes and stuff where it was like, hey, if you don't keep this partner, you might be off fending for yourself in the jungle, right? That would be a huge problem. But nowadays, it's like we still have this old wiring, right? And this is the argument that a lot of people talk about, because they're like, oh, well, we're in 2019, we should not have to worry about man and woman anymore. And it's like, no, we've got biology that goes back a long, long time, way, way, way before we were even talking. And that biology is strong. And so, jealousy is a part of that biology, just like the factors that attract one another to each other. And so it's not, you're not getting rid of it completely. I mean, I've heard of people that say that they never ever get jealous at all. I'm not sure that I totally believe that. They might. Maybe they're just dead inside. They're just dead inside and they don't feel anything at all. Kelly says, how in the world... Sorry, that was a bit of a joke. How in the world do I balance support and leaning back with a dismissive avoidant? So he tries to... I mean, you'd have to talk a little bit more about the situation. CB says, what if you have physical intimacy? He stays in contact every day and shares about his personal life. We have great chemistry in all realms, but I am having a hard time reading him. What about it? What about it? Are you trying to not have the conversations you need to have, or are you asking me whether he's a good guy? You need to make sure that you need to make sure that you're having conversations about what he wants, and stop trying to find all the clues. Like, I keep talking to these women, they're like, like going around, like a private detective or something. They think they're like, I don't know, trying to solve some kind of mystery. Like, oh, there's a clue. It's on the, white shirt over here. There's a blood mark, and it's like, you're stop trying to look for all these clues to determine whether he wants something or not, and talk to him. Actually have communication with him about that. I hope that's what you're asking about. If not, actually, I hope that's not what you're asking about. I hope what you're asking is if he's a good guy. But you might want to clarify what you're asking. Seems like most guys just want sex, but I want something real. Okay. Not all men are looking for something real. You're right. You're right. About 13% of men are not looking for something real. And like I said earlier, if he sees you, it might not be that he's not looking for something real, but it might be that he's not looking for something real with you. And you need to figure that out. Which is another reason why a lot of guys won't... If you talk to a guy really early on, and you're like, hey, what are you looking for, right? And you haven't connected with him, with your personality, you guys haven't had any kind of real conversations, and you're just like, hey, what are you looking for? He's going to look at you, and he doesn't want to give you the wrong impression. And so he's going to tell you something that you may or may not want to hear, which for a lot of guys will be like, well, it'll either be something like, well, I don't know, it kind of depends, or, I'm not really sure yet, or it'll be like, hey, I'm just looking to, like, have fun and hang out and, like, whatever, right? Because that is more likely to get him to a relationship, believe it or not, than saying that he's looking for a relationship if you guys haven't connected and he's not... and he hasn't gotten some. So what you want to do is you want to wait a little bit longer and have a connection with him before you start asking him about these things. Because if he looks at you and he sees that you're physically attractive to him, but he's not sure about your personality yet, he's most likely going to tell you that he just wants something casual because he doesn't know. Because he doesn't know about you yet. So Pixie Doll says, hi Matt, went on a date yesterday. We had so much fun. How do I know he's interested in me? Well, he's interested in you because he will contact you again and want to go out. And assuming that you did things correctly on the date where you let him know that you're interested in him, and you do the things that I talk about in the Forever Woman program and some of the other live streams that we've been having, and he knows that you're interested, you've been flirting with him, there's sexual chemistry, all those kinds of things are there, then you know that he's still interested because he'll set up another date with you. That's how you know. He'll contact you and let you know that he wants to see you again. Fiona says, yes, the way you carry yourself is important and it determines what you attract. That's right. Right, exactly, DD. That's exactly the Dave Chappelle skit I am talking about. So, Nusrat. Nusrat says, where is it? Okay. Hi, I've been this situation from Bangladesh. Okay. Valerie says, I think I carry myself well, but back then I wasn't aware of red flags. I was naive then. Now I'm aware. Good. Awareness is the beginning. Helena Hart's here. Hello, Helena. Thanks for joining our live stream. It's always wonderful to see Helena here. I love when Helena comes and visits my live streams. I'm going to be helping her this week with her live streams because Google Hangouts no longer is in existence or something, and so I'm going to help her with that. So be prepared, Helena. We'll be chatting here this week. Grace says, I feel I'm just out of my league with this one. Well, that is a bad feeling. Too rich for me. I mean, richness doesn't really matter, right? Like, if a guy starts having money, it's like, that doesn't change anything for him. Like, literally. Like, for most men, when they start having money, it doesn't change how they date. The only thing that might change is they might start attracting more gold diggers. And so it'll make it so that he's even more desperate to have a real connection with somebody, because it really doesn't matter, and guys don't care about it's not like, for men don't look at league in terms of money, right? So if he has a lot of money, most guys don't care whether women have any money or not. I mean, it's nice if they do, it's nice if they have a nice job, but for the most part, they're not attracted to it. Like, most women that I talk to, I was talking to some woman actually in San Diego last year, and we were actually discussing this topic, and I was like, yeah, would you ever date a guy that was a store clerk? Would you ever date a guy that had just like a job at a convenience store or something like that? And she was like, no, I would never ever do that. And I was like, well, most guys don't care if you're working at a convenience store. They don't care if you've just got a regular job. They don't care. I mean, it's cool if you have like this really cool job and you're making a bunch of money and all that kind of stuff, but for the most part, they don't care. Women tend to care about this. Men don't tend to care about this. And so, when you're talking about like him being out of your league, don't worry about that. Don't worry about him having money, because that's not why. You don't need to have money. That he's not out of your league, right? A guy having money doesn't make him out of your league, because that's not what he's looking for in a relationship. He's not looking for another person to have money. He's looking for somebody to enjoy his life with, especially if he has money. Then what he's really looking for is somebody that's really awesome and has a cool personality and loves him for who he is, because he's so used to a lot of women that are like just trying to use him for his money and just trying to get free dinners and stuff like that. And so I wouldn't worry about that. Lee says, please, is porn responsible for men not wanting to have a girlfriend? No, porn is not responsible for that at all, right? And neither is the hookup culture. The reason that we already talked about all the reasons why men aren't into that. Brenda, that was the whole point of the live stream. Watch the live stream over. Brenda says, audio, it's a little low, Matthew. I have my speaker high. I'm on my phone here. I'm not sure where the speaker even is, to be honest. I have no idea where the speaker is on this phone. And I don't know how to increase the volume, so sorry about that. I hope you can hear it well. Valerie says, I don't like guys that are younger than me. Great. You know, it's good to know. It's good to know what you like and you don't like. Mary says, Grandma is dating a man 15 years younger because there are so few men alive at her age. You know what? Your grandma just sounds awesome. Every time I hear about her, I think she's amazing, Mary. Julie Tree says, I'm 48, Matt, and I'm very attracted to younger men. That's awesome. Good for you. A lot of guys like older women. You know, there's like these like angry men on the internet that are like that try to attack women. They're called MGTOW. I like to call them MGTurds. And they're very like, they're like, oh, when a woman hits, 35, 40, she can't date anybody anymore. And it's like, what are you talking about, dude? You're out of your mind. When women hit, there's a lot of guys that are younger that like women that are older. There's a lot of them. I don't think it's the majority, but there's a lot. And so there's a lot of relationships that happen between guys that are younger and women that are older because it's just nice for a lot of men, right? They don't have to put up with all the nonsense. They don't have to deal with a lot of the games that they have to deal with younger women. They don't have to deal with them being kind of taken back by, lots of attention, right? Like, guys that date younger women, a lot of times they have to deal with just nonsense, right? Because the women, they don't know what they want. They're, like, confused about everything. They're, like, a lot of them have, like, butterfly syndrome where they're, like, going after anything that's shiny and loud, and so a lot of guys like to date older women because it's easier for them and it's less drama and it's less nonsense. Not always, but many times it can be. Grace said, trust me, younger men isn't always exactly that fun. I'm sure. Alina says, should you tell him that you love him if you feel that he loves you and he feels that you love him? From how we both act, you can tell or just feel. I mean, I did a full thing on this not too long ago, but what you want to do is you want to feel it out, right? And you want to kind of talk about things that you love about each other before you, like, start dropping the L-bomb. And so, yeah, I mean, just feel it out a little bit more. Try to get him to say it. You can actually get him to say it first, which is the best way to do it. Guys think so whoever you are, whether you're a guy or you're a woman, it's always better to get the other person to say it first because they're the one that's taking the risk. And so if you can kind of like get into this space of like talking about like, initially talking about things that you like about each other. I have a game that I play. It's a fun little game. It's called it's called something like, I don't even know the name of my own game. It's called, do you know what I like about you? And so what you do is you say, you know what I like about you? And then you say things that you like about the other person. And then you go, your turn. Like, what do you like about me? What do you like about me? And it can be this fun game where you just like, basically you're framing your attraction for each other. And it's a really cool thing that you can do. And you start off doing that. And then eventually you can kind of get into like talking about like things that you really like love about each other, right? Like, I just love it when you do this. I just love it when you do that. Like, it's like, oh my God, like when you say that to me, like, it just like makes me feel so good inside. And I just feel so cared for. And like, I've got this big, strong man here for me that's just, like, it's one of my favorite things, right? And just keep it going, and dial up the emotions, dial up and dial down the emotions. That's what you do. That if you want it to move further and further in that direction, is just dial it up and dial it down. Like that's the power. That's where you get a lot of power, and you'll get him like feeling it, and he'll start getting kind of like almost addicted to that feeling, and then eventually he'll be like looking at you, and he'll you guys will be hanging out with each other. Maybe you guys are making love or something, and he's like looking at you, and he's like, oh, I want to say it, I want to say it, I want to say it right now. Should I say it? And then eventually at some point he'll let it slip. I mean, you can too. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, you can always say it. What it does when you say that, because it's like kind of a pivotal moment in a relationship, is it kind of like lets a little bit of a steam out, It's like, opening a pot or something and letting a little bit of steam out. But it can also be really, really powerful if you're kind of in the moment and you're both feeling it, and it's just like you're right there and you say it. Like, it can be really, really powerful. Lise says, I have no friends of mine on Facebook, but only people in groups I'm interested in. So all are either from USA or Europe. Okay. Martha says, I get jealous, green-eyed, meowing. What? I don't know. When any woman puts her hand on my boyfriend's arm. So you start meowing with green eyes? I'm not sure what that means. Dee Dee says, do you think it's possible to wait too long to have sex? I mean, it could end up killing that tension that you guys have. It could. You could end up losing guys because, just like what we talked about earlier, where they feel like they're getting friend zoned and they feel like it's going nowhere. If you're religious, yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. You want to make sure that you're doing everything right the whole time. Follow strictly what I talk about in the Forever Woman program, and if you do that, and you continue to make sure that you're, fanning that flame of desire that he has, then you probably won't have a problem. But there is a chance that the attraction will die. There is a chance the longer it goes. However, there is a chance that he'll feel like he's getting put into the friend zone or something like that, or that you're playing games with him, right? And you don't want him to feel like you're playing games with him. You don't want him to feel like you're just messing with him, which he can feel if you're kind of just drawing it out longer and longer and longer and longer, which is why you want to figure out what you're doing, right? Figure out whether this is something that you want to do or it's something that you don't want to do. And you don't want to wait forever to do that. CB said he wants a relationship as well, and I confirmed he doesn't want a FWB. Awesome. Martha says, how do I tone down how I feel? I know he likes the attention. Well, if you're always, giving him attention, eventually what's going to happen is he's going to start taking it for granted. So you want to create some scarcity there, because that is what creates value in the communication. So, just pull back a little bit. Just lean back. Lean back. Listen to Helena Hart and just lean back a bit. Just do some leaning back. Get other things that you're doing. Have other things going on in your life, so that you're not so focused on him and the relationship. CB says, so yes, I am trying to figure out if he is a good guy or not. I have had some really bad relationships in the past, so hard to trust my gut. Yeah, I mean, if you have a pattern of being with bad guys, like I said, you want to break that pattern. Break the pattern. Do something different. Try new things. Rebecca says, are guys just too afraid to be vulnerable? Are hookups just an excuse for not being insincere? It's like a double negative there. And a way of hiding inadequacy. There's a lot of things that hookups are an excuse for, right? And this is for men and women. There's a lot of women that are doing hookups right now because they don't want to have something real. They don't want to deal with whatever's going on that's real with them. They want to have the physical intimacy. They want to feel wanted. They want to have, all the great things that come with having sex, right? And so it's men and women are doing this. This isn't just men that are doing this. It's everybody. Everybody's doing this right now. That's why it feels like that, because everybody's doing it, and so many guys are so used to this, and they're on Tinder and they're like talking to girls, and girls are messaging them and they're saying, "Hey, what are you interested in?" And the guy's like, he knows that if he says he's looking for something real, that if she is just looking to hook up, that she's going to be like, "Oh, I'm just looking to hook up," right? Or "I'm just looking for something casual," and it'll break that whole thing that they're doing. And if he says, "Oh, I'm just looking to date," or "I'm just looking to, see what's out there," or something, then he knows that he's opening it up for whatever she's looking for, because this is what's happening right now. This is the reality of dating. Women are doing this as well. This isn't just men. You got to realize that it's on both sides. It's both sides. It's a huge complaint that a lot of guys have right now, is that women aren't looking to settle down. Women aren't looking for anything real. Women are just looking to hook up with lots of guys and not be with one guy. It's on both sides right now. It's not just men. So Grace says, "We just don't want to marry again. No reason. Can't have kids." Okay. It's not necessarily a problem. Martha says, "Is he just pushing my buttons by letting other women get that close?" It's possible. It's possible that he's also he's better at being friends with women. It kind of depends. It depends on, his upbringing. It depends on his personality type. It depends on a lot of things. That's why you got to kind of learn about him and find out more about him. Find out what kind of friends he has. If it's mostly women and you're very jealous, that might not be a good match for you, right? Because he's going to want to keep his friends that he's had around. Some, if he, is better at being friends with women, he might have had some of these women as his friends for years and years and years. Some of them might have been people that he's hooked up with, and they ended up being like, let's just be friends, So you might want to consider that. Rebecca said, "But wait, guys string women because they just want to entertain options, not get real with one woman." It's possibly that they aren't finding a woman that's meeting their standards and their criteria for a woman that they want to be in a relationship with, and so they settle for hooking up instead, because they're like, until I find a girl that I feel meets my standards and who I'm looking for something real, I'm just going to date around and just have fun until I do meet one that meets those standards. Or makes me feel that way, makes me feel like she's the one, makes me feel like she's relationship material, she's marriage material, she's who I'm really looking for. That's what a lot of these guys are looking for, because they've been burned, their parents have been burned. They come from families like mine where both of their parents have been married and divorced 3 times. They've watched their brothers and their other people, their cousins and people that they know, their good friends, being burned by women who have taken them for tons of money and cheated on them and left them and stuff. And we have a society right now filled with people that are hurt, filled with people that are in pain, on both the men and the women's side. And so you have to realize that when you're out there dating and you're talking to guys, that a lot of guys are hurt, a lot of women are hurt, a lot of men are hurt, and we're all bleeding all over each other because we're not healing our wounds. And so you need to just consider some of those things. And a lot of guys are a lot more hesitant to get into a committed relationship because they're like, I'm not getting into anything unless I know this is right, because I don't want some somebody, some woman taking my money. I don't want some woman, I've gotten into toxic relationships, so I don't want to get into another toxic relationship. And so I'll just do the friend with benefits thing until I figure out what's going on here. And he ends up getting comfortable there because he's getting all of his needs met. So Joy says, I've had a friend come back into my life after many years. I was very attracted to him then and still am. In his job, he travels a lot. We don't live close. We talk and text. How do we move forward? There's a live stream that I did that was called How to Turn Your Guy Friend into Your Boyfriend. You should go watch that video because I give step-by-step detail on exactly how to do that. Pixie Doll says, Matt, what are some odd signs a guy likes you or is interested? So what are some odd signs? Well, I mean, it kind of depends, right? Like, it depends on you as to what's odd, right? So there's a lot of signs that a guy's into you. Like, signs that a guy's into you is that he'll look at you for a while, right? And some women are like, oh, like, what is that, right? He looks at you. He likes looking at you. He likes being around you. He likes being close to you. He likes to talk to you, right? If I were you, I would just assume that if a guy is trying to hang out with you, if he's trying to be around you, if he's trying to get near you, just assume that he likes you. Just assume it. Because there's at least a 90% chance that he's interested if he's trying to hang out with you. At least in something physical, if not something that's deeper. And so you want to assume that he's interested and then just go from a standpoint of, I'm assuming that he's interested, what do I do now? Instead of trying to find signs, right? Because like a lot of guys, especially in the men's dating space, they'll be like, oh, okay, before you try to move forward with a woman, you need to look for these signs. Does she primp her hair? Does she, look at you and then look away? Does she, do all these different things? And what guys end up finding when they go out on dates is that women aren't doing a lot of those things, even though they are interested, right? And so you just have to assume that the person's interested and move forward with it, and if they're not, they'll let you know at some point, right? Or they'll stop you or whatever, right? And I mean, obviously being a woman, it's probably you're probably not kind of moving things forward like a guy would, but you should definitely kind of treat it that way. And if you are like, okay, this guy's interested in me and I'm interested in something more, what you want to do is you want to connect with him on the different levels like we talked about. You want to set boundaries. If he starts kind of pushing things forward, you want to make sure that there are kind of romantic undertones to the conversations that you're having and the connection that you're having with him. You want to make sure that you're dangling the carrot so that he knows that you're interested in him. Julie Tree says, amen, Matt, preach gold diggers everywhere. Okay. Rebecca says, if a guy really wants you, he will put out all stops to be with you. Don't waste your time with players. Well, I mean, some guys will. Some guys will do anything to be with you. But a lot of guys have been burned so many times on doing anything to be with you that they aren't doing anything to try to be with you anymore because they're like, that strategy hasn't worked in the past, and so a lot of guys aren't doing that anymore where they're like, going all in. Some will, right? Some will. And the question is, when a guy does that, is that a guy that you want? Is it a guy that you want, right? Because one of the things that I hear a lot from women is they're like, why are the guys that I always want, they don't want me, and the guys that I don't want, they're trying to get all over me, right? And so you got to consider that. You have to consider that. Roach Jeanette says, I'm 57 and have a 34-year-old flirting with me. Exactly. Lice says sound is perfect. Okay, good. Fiona says butterfly syndrome. I have never heard that before. Yeah, it's just like somebody's like distracted by lots of things. It's usually a lot of younger women are like that. A lot of younger guys are like that too, right? Lice said, yes, a lot of younger men want me. See what I'm saying here? See what I'm talking about? It's no joke. It's no joke. It's a real thing. Martha said, I'm 63 and have a 36-year-old man at work who flirts with me every day. He likes my confidence and style. Awesome. Awesome. Getting it with those younger guys. That's good. Grace says, I know he loves me. He told me so. My kid is just one of the things he can't take. Oh, he can't take your kid? He doesn't want somebody who has a kid? Well, that's interesting. I said that and he said, hell yeah, I know. I just told him, no, you don't. Like I said, as the saying goes, love is not a noun, it's a verb. Yep. Jones says, I have a hard time dating men my age because, sorry, but they're just too old in the way they think. A lot of them are stuck in an era. I evolve with every era. I'll soon be 70. I'll be 70 soon. I'm still in 40s. I'm not sure what you're... Are you saying you're going to be 70, but you're still in the 40s? I have no idea what you're saying right there. Sorry, Joan. So, Sissy says, I'm tired of getting hit on by 20-something-year-old guys. It's annoying. I'm 41. I think 5 years younger is fine, but more than that, no way. Those guys are filled with testosterone. Alina says, thank you very much. You're welcome. You are welcome. Rebecca says, if you are unsure if a guy is the real deal or just stringing you, find a great psychic. So you find out the truth early. And yeah, I guess you could try that. Do psychics work? I don't know. I feel like I have some intuitive powers. I don't know if I'd call myself a psychic. I joined a psychic training group at one point in Arizona. That was a lot of fun. Jones says, it cracks me up when an older guy is bald, fat, gut, wrinkled up, and only wants a Barbie doll. Like, dude, have you looked in the... Yeah, I have a friend that's like that. I was talking to him a couple years ago, and he's like, yeah, like... I gotta find a woman who's been, she's been working out for the last 20 years. And I looked at him and I'm like, you think she's gonna want you? Like, dude, he's got this huge gut, and he's like totally balding. He smokes and stuff. I'm like, dude, some woman that's been working out for 20 years, she doesn't want anything to do with you, man. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? What you talking about, bro? What you talking about? Yeah, it's one of those things, and that's another part of the culture that we're in right now. A lot of people want everything, but they're not willing to be everything that deserves what it is that they want. Rebecca says, all guys want sex anytime or anyhow. Gentlemen will wait. If they are true, they will chase. Okay. Jones says, I'm almost 70, seeing a man 13 years younger, and he doesn't care about my flaws. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about, Joan. Sabah says, hi, how you doing? Thanks a lot. You're amazing. How you help us always. Oh, okay. You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm glad. Thanks for saying that I'm amazing. Rebecca says, don't hook up if you're wanting lasting love. Hookups are playground games. That's right. Joan says, I hate my body. He loves me for who I am. Yeah, I mean, you might want to work on loving your body, because that's going to be important. Because it can get tiring, if you're a guy and you're, telling a woman that you really like her body and she's constantly, putting her body down. She's like, oh, I'm so gross. And, do you really love it? It gets old after a while. And so you might want to, work on that. Work on the way that you see your body. because like that kind of like being confident in that way is really attractive, and it's better. It's better for you. It's better for everybody. It'll make you feel better overall. It'll make you feel more attractive. It'll make him feel more attracted to you. Valentina says 1.5 years after 4.5 of those. Exclusive, me 51, him 50, fireman, he wants real, but this time he said he don't fit, maybe someone more perfect for me, but we have sex again, I initiate contact. He's investing in me in a few, helps me with things, homework, months, LTR. I don't know what you are saying. There's like so many things that you're saying in that sentence right there. I have no idea what's going on there. Jack Rabbit says, my friend with benefits. See? Here we go. Here we're talking about him. Exclusive of 2 months has told me to get a passport and go on holiday in December. I'm confused as it's very forward thinking. No, it's not. It's not forward thinking for a friend with benefits. I wasn't thinking long term, but may consider it. Stop thinking that. Him wanting to take you on vacation is not considering having you in a relationship. Just get that out of your mind, right? I did a video about this not too long ago. It doesn't matter what he does. If he is not saying that he wants an exclusive relationship with you, do not consider it a real relationship. Friend with benefits is friend with benefits, and a lot of, he might be considering it, but he might also be, just being like, hey, this is fun, I'm having a good time, you're having a good time, let's just continue to have a good time and doing nothing here other than being friend with benefits. So don't get in your mind that it's switching, because it may very well not be switching. And if you think that it's switching and he doesn't, which he very well might not, you're going to be really confused, and you're going to be really heartbroken if you start going, oh, maybe he's opening up to something real and bigger and more with me, and he's just like, oh yeah, we're just having fun. Yeah, this girl that I've been, hooking up with, she wants to go on vacation with me. It's going to be awesome. And then you guys go on vacation, you get back, and he's just like, yeah, we're just having fun, and you're like, wait, what? You don't want to go that route. You don't want to go that route unless he talks about it being something more, which it doesn't sound like he has. Grace, no, she's just 39 and at home. She's young at heart. Joan says, I had to end that. I'm still in 40s the way I think. Oh. Pixie Doll says, Matt, if a guy didn't take advantage of you, like kissing, etc., does that mean he's not into you? No. Most guys, most guys, okay? Let me explain something to you here. Most guys, they're not... Most guys are like, nice guys out there, and they don't know what they're doing. That's probably what's going on, right? Like, if he's going out of his way to see you, and he keeps going on dates with you and all that kind of stuff, assume that he likes you. Even if he's not trying to push things forward, even if he's not trying to kiss, even if he's not trying to do any of those things, just assume that he likes you. And if you want him, it kind of tells you a little bit about what's going on with him. Like, you think right now, oh, he's a gentleman. But sooner or later, you're going to start thinking, like, is he not a man? Right? Which is what a lot of women end up thinking, right? If a guy goes too fast, she's like, oh, he just wants sex. And if a guy goes too slow, she's like, oh, he's not really a man. Does he, man? I don't even know what he's doing anymore. If he comes and he meets you, he likes you, right? And he may just be looking for kind of permission, right, to move things forward, which is what I was talking about before with the men's dating industry, because they're like, oh, look for these signs. If she shows you these signs, that's when you can move forward. And so guys, guys are always looking for permission to move things forward with you. And so if he's not seeing those signs, or if he's not sure what those signs are, if he's really hesitant, if he's kind of confused, if he's like, well, I like her and she keeps going on these dates and maybe eventually it'll turn into something, there could be a lot of things going on there. And if you want to, see if things will go even further, my suggestion is that you go watch that video that I did. It was called something like 7 Flirty Questions to Ask a Guy or something like that. And just go watch that video. You can go watch the How to Turn a Guy Friend into a Boyfriend video. Watch one of those 2 videos, because those 2 videos talk about the process that you can use to kind of give him the permission so that he tries to move things forward. I actually talk about that in a few of my videos. There's one video where I talk about why high value men don't have men chasing, or high value women don't have guys chasing them, or something like that. It's another one of those videos. They're all live streams, all those live streams that I'm on. Okay, guys, so it has been, yes, vacation doesn't mean he wants exclusivity. Doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. Okay, so I gotta go here, everybody. We're over the hour, so thank you so much for being here again. If you're really serious about getting into a relationship where you're loved and valued, if you want to have lots of options with men, if you want to create a great connection with a guy where he's falling more and more in love, more and more attracted to you, make sure that you go to thegoddesscommunity.com and check out joining our community there. You'll get my Forever Woman program with that, where I will teach you how to, my system for having options and getting a guy to really see you as a valuable woman that he wants to be with forever. The Forever Woman. He will see you as the Forever Woman. So go check that out if you're interested. Thank you so much for being here. This is all about empowering you and helping you have the kinds of relationships that you want to have, getting you into a great relationship where you're loved and you're seen, giving you options, making you feel empowered. And so that's what we're doing here. So thank you so much for being here with me,